I'm amazed at how quiet it got, how quickly. All I had to do was walk up here. First of all, welcome. These are indeed unusual times. You know, it looks like there are plenty of seats in here right now, but I would say these two sections are full right now because all we use is the ends of every other pew. Over here, most of this is full and not so much over there. There's still room over there. So if people come in late, that's the place for them. But this is the way we do things on Sunday. People sit 6 feet apart. The interesting thing, it's, for the most part, it's a lot of people who are at high risk that come on Sunday. And I don't know why, but that's what's happening. There are other people who, stay home and watch on the computer screen and that sort of thing. That's certainly a valid way to do things too. So that's a good thing. So welcome, and welcome to all of your children. We just had yesterday the biggest event we've had in the church since the pandemic, because we had Bishop Amos here to confirm 48 young people. But each young person brought 2 parents and a sponsor, so that's 4 times 48. That's the biggest number we've had in here since the pandemic. We usually have about 100 people for every Sunday Mass, and but at some of the Masses, they pretty much fill all the spots in the pews. We had more chairs set up over there, but we haven't needed them for the most part, except maybe the first week. So welcome. I'm going to just say a prayer, and then Ms. Poley is going to talk, and because she knows the stuff. And I just want to publicly thank her for all that she has done this summer. The other one to thank is Kathy, who is in the back roaming around, and she's doing the live streaming for this. But between the two of them, they've done the lion's share of the work of coordinating things and just doing all the things that needed to be done to make sure the school year gets off on a good footing. So let's pray. Lord our God, in your wisdom and love, you surround us with the mysteries of the universe. In times long past, you sent us your prophets to teach your laws and to bear witness to your undivine love. You sent us your Son to teach us by word and example that true wisdom comes from you alone. Send your Spirit upon the students of this school and their teachers. Fill them with your wisdom and blessings. Grant that during this academic year, they may devote themselves to their studies and share what they have learned from others. Grant this through Christ our Lord. Amen. I invite you to pray the Our Father with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. You notice I took my mask off as soon as I came up here. That's the way we do things on Sunday too, because I have enough distance between me and you folks. But when I'm coming back out there, this will go back on. So it's the rule. We just keep masks on when we're anywhere near each other. So, okay. And now, Ms. Poley, it's your turn.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate it. Well, welcome. It's been unbelievably since March 20th, since the voices of children have been heard in our hallways, and I can't tell you how incredibly excited I am that a week from today, that beautiful sound, that beautiful noise will once again be heard. I know of hearing from you that the kids are excited to come back, that they're looking forward to coming back, and I'm excited about that. I also want to take a moment to thank you. to thank you for your support all summer long. I've heard nothing but kind words of encouragement. And two, most importantly, your trust. You trust us to take your children and keep them safe and healthy and happy during this crazy time. And your trust and your confidence in us means everything. And I value our partnership, and I know that this year, more than ever, that partnership will be crucial to making this year a success. I guess I need to start by stating the obvious. This is not, cannot be, will not be a typical or perfect school year, if there ever was such a thing. It will have its series of stops and starts. We have a plan. I think it's a very good plan, a solid plan, but we haven't tested it out with children yet. We haven't tested it out with you. So what I'm asking for, and I'll ask it probably a couple of times through the course of my talk, is communicate with us. When things are going well, let us know. But more importantly, if things aren't going well, if there's an issue you see, something that just isn't working, let us know. Because together, if we work together, I believe we can fix all of those issues. So tonight, I want to accomplish a few things. Number one, I want to introduce you to our team of teachers. Many of the faces are new, so I wanted to take an opportunity to let you see them, and I'm going to read just a brief little bio on them. Two, I want to just do an overview of the protocols and procedures, what will look different in the building this year. Third thing is I want to talk about the concerns that you have voiced in emails. Some of you have shot me some questions, so I'd like to address those. And then I'd also like to share with you some things that I think you can do at home that will help the kids transition. And whether they're staying at home, doing virtual learning, or coming in person and in the school building, these same things can be done to help them have a more successful school year. So does that sounds like a plan, I hope? Okay, without further ado, let me introduce you to our staff. Let me start with kindergarten. If Miss Oskoski, Sarah Oskoski, if you would stand, please. Miss Oskoski is our kindergarten teacher. She is a John Carroll graduate. That's not the reason I hired her. I also am a John Carroll graduate. That just was one thing in her favor. She comes to us with 3 years of classroom experience. And what impressed me as we were talking, many things impressed me, but she has, at her young age, she's already been asked to serve on 2 diocesan level committees in writing curriculum. That tells me that she has been recognized as an outstanding teacher who knows her craft and is willing to share it with others. So, Mrs. Skotsky, you want her? Oh, good idea. Sure, come on up. I will have the teachers come up front. Sure, absolutely. The next new teacher I'd like to introduce is Miss Megan Gubin. She is our new 2nd grade teacher and a recent graduate of Cleveland State University, and a very active member of the St. Noel Parish in Willoughby Hills. Her coursework and background is strong in early childhood education, and I think she's going to bring an energy and enthusiasm and also knowledge to our primary team. 3rd grade, we have hired Miss Samantha Burns, our most recent hire. She is a recent graduate of Akron University with a degree in early childhood education, but additionally, she has a degree as an early childhood intervention specialist. She also has a minor degree in child and family development. I think she comes with a very diverse background and can add those different components share those expertise with her team members. So welcome, Ms. Gubin. Fourth grade, Miss Nicole Fidali is our new fourth grade teacher. She is a graduate of Ohio University with a degree in middle childhood, which is a 4 to 9 license, and she's certified in language arts, social studies, and reading. Her recent student teaching experience was both in 5th grade and 8th grade, and I know all of those experiences will really benefit her 4th grade class. Mrs. Catherine Zink is our 5th grade teacher. She has 23 years of classroom experience and holds a master's degree as an intervention specialist and also a degree in gifted education. She also teaches teachers at Notre Dame College, teaching classes in differentiated instruction and teaching of gifted and talented learners. So we have the benefit where not only is she teaching the students, but we have the opportunity to pick her brains, and she will be teaching us as well. So welcome, Mrs. Zink. In 6th grade, we have Mrs. Pasilich. She will teach 5th and 6th grade English language arts and 6th grade social studies. She comes to us with 13 years of classroom experience, all of them in Catholic education. She has a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in reading. I know she's extremely qualified to take on the challenge of dealing with our 5th and 6th graders. In 7th grade, we've hired Mrs. Ashley Kuhn to teach our English language arts and social studies. She is a graduate of Mount Union College with grades 4 to 9 licensure in social studies and language arts. She comes to us with several years of experience, and she graduated with a minor as an intervention specialist for grades K to 12. Her experience and background will be an asset to our school. And yes, we do have another male on staff, I'm happy to say. Mr. Nick Davidson will be our 8th grade homeroom teacher and also teach our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math. We decided to take the junior high down to 6th grade, so there's a little bit more continuity ramping up in the junior high for math. We've had a very, very, very solid math program all along. It's something we're noted for. And Mr. Davidson holds certification to teach math in grades 4 to 9. He also has endorsements in both geometry and trigonometry. And he has achieved, it's called a highly qualified teacher, and it's a very difficult distinction to get. It's very rigorous, and Mr. Davidson has achieved that honor, and it is so noted on his certificate. So we're very, very, very happy to welcome him to our staff. We've decided, we changed our science in the upper grades a little bit too. We've hired Miss Therese Hurley as the new teacher of science for grades 7 and 8. Now she has 13 years of teaching experience, so she comes as a veteran. However, it should be noted that teaching is her second career. She graduated originally and spent many, many, many years. I shouldn't say that, should I? It makes you sound really old. Sorry about one too many manys. But she was a nurse, and I guess she still is a nurse. She keeps up her certification, so she has that background, but teaching is her passion and her love, and we're very delighted that she chose to join our faculty. Those are our new teachers, and I think we should give them a nice round of applause and welcome them. Meanwhile, we welcome back many veteran staff members. Jackie Skotsky will be back in 1st grade. Julie Maley will remain our art teacher. Therese Rose and Aaron Gallagher will hold down the preschool fort. Augie Montz, Mr. Montz will teach our phys ed. Mr. Gorski will once again be our music teacher. Ms. Navas will teach Spanish. Mrs. Michaels, thank goodness, will remain as our technology coordinator. And we have our support staff. Our intervention specialists are coming back. Jillian Finkbeiner. She'll be joined this year by someone by the name of Debbie Mulhall, who's also a veteran intervention specialist. And we are still waiting. We lost our intervention special, or our speech and language therapist. She retired. Mrs. Capello retired. So we're waiting to hear who will be named in her place, but we will have a speech and language therapist. So one of the things that I heard, and it's legitimate, there is a concern about the turnover in teachers, and I know some people thought there's a problem with the school, what's going on. I can't share specifics. It would not be ethical or professional. I will say that other schools are experiencing the same situation. I actually had 10 emails across my desk today for other principals looking for teachers at this late date. That's neither here nor there. That's not solving our problem. The turnover occurred for a myriad of reasons. One, we had retirement. We had another teacher who chose to take a job that was much closer to her home. We had two teachers who were concerned about the pandemic and chose to become teachers in virtual schools. We had a couple of other staff members with children whose school districts are doing unusual things with their scheduling. So their children are in school 2 days, out 2 days, every other Wednesday. Somebody needed to stay home with the children and supervise, so they had to forego their jobs. So it's not, the school's not in trouble. It just was one of those domino things, the collateral damage, if you will, from the pandemic. I will miss the teachers that we lost. I'm not going to lie, this is not a perfect scenario. However, I will say that the level of expertise, the level of enthusiasm, and the level of commitment that we have with our new staff members it's inspiring. And I think your children will be very happy and very blessed to have these people in front of them this year. These teachers will be mentored, and by that, we're not just going to cut them loose and let them flounder. We will hook them up with veteran teachers. Some of the new teachers are veteran. We will put a brand new teacher with somebody with experience. We'll make sure that all of us, the teachers and the students, have a successful year. We will not set anybody up to fail. That would not be fair, or it wouldn't be right. Another concern was that because we can't do the traditional back to school things, and we have a lot of new staff members, students will not have the opportunity to see their teacher before that first day. We found that unacceptable, so we've come up with two things that we're going to do that will give your children and you a little bit more of a glimpse into what makes these teachers tick. Number one, tomorrow, each one of the teachers, whether they're new or veteran, will be creating a video. That video will be like if you would have the opportunity to go and visit their classroom after my speech, it would be the same kind of presentation. They will introduce themselves, they'll talk about their expectations, maybe even give you a virtual tour around their classroom. And so you and your children will be able to see that, listen to that, and get a glimpse into what their classroom might be like. Those will be posted for you to view on Wednesday. So we'll go through this back to school night, tomorrow back to school night, and then on Wednesday, that video will be posted. We've also come up with a second idea. Next Monday, August the 24th, so the Monday before we start school, we are going to hold a meet and greet. We have a big, beautiful backyard. We can't let you in the building. We've spent too much time and effort in sanitizing it and getting it ready for the students. But what we can do, we've set up a couple of tents in our backyard. We're going to put up some tables, and we're going to invite all of the teachers to be outside. And We haven't decided the exact times yet. That's still something that we're working on, but you will get an email, and we will invite you to a morning session or an afternoon session where, if you choose to, come on up. It's going to be very informal. The teachers will be there. You can stop by, say hello. If you want to drop off your school supplies at that point, you can. And just a chance to say hello, introduce yourselves. The teachers can introduce themselves, and just the opportunity for the kids to at least see their teacher in person before the first day of school. More than likely, I'm thinking sometime like maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then maybe again at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't have to sign up, you just have to show up. Let's see. I think that covers it for the teachers. Anybody have any burning questions about anything that I've said so far? Okay, then let me move on and let me recap for you, if you will, the precautions, the protocols that we've put into place. I was listening, I had the radio on the other day, and John Husted, who is our lieutenant governor, was being interviewed on the Mike Trevisano show, and they were asking him about the school safety and is it safe for kids to come back to school. And he said, as long as they follow the 4 ups, it'll be fine. And at first I didn't know what he meant by the 4 ups, but then he explained. He said they need to mask up, back up, clean up, and wash up. And if they do those 4 things and they do them consistently, kids should be safe. So we are indeed going to mask up. Every person in the building, teachers, kindergarten through 8th grade, will have masks on all day. We are preferring the cloth masks. It seems as though those are the ones that seem to be the safest. They can be laundered. I know that there has been some concern legitimately about little ones wearing masks for all the length of the school day. They're not going to have to wear them for the length of the school day. There will be systematic breaks throughout the day when they'll be able to take their masks off. Minimally, 2 mask breaks during the morning. They will not wear their masks during recess. They will not wear their masks during lunch. And I'm waiting for clarification, but I don't believe they have to wear their masks during phys ed class because we can social distance so much in that very large space. So they will, for the most part, go for an hour or so consistently wearing a mask, and then they'll be able to take it off for 10 or 15 minutes. We're going to ask, because we know that it's going to happen, if you could pack at least 1 extra mask for your child every day, so in case it rips, it tears, it gets lost, it gets dirty, we have a spare one that we can give them. The second up is backup, and that really is referring to the social distancing. When the teachers do their videos, you're going to see in the classrooms that we have socially distanced the desks. The desks are 6 feet apart wherever possible. Where it wasn't possible, another physical barrier has been put into place. In 1st grade, we actually have individual little barriers that sit on top of every desk. In a few of the upper grades, we have made these plexiglass shields that divide the children. So they will be masked and they will be 6 feet apart from the next person. Hallways will have they're school friendly, these smiley faces that are the reminders, and we will place them 6 feet down the hallway, all the way around the building, so the kids have an idea of what being 6 feet away from everyone means. Arrival and dismissal will be just a little different. Arrival, we're asking that nobody comes into the building before 7:45. So if you're dropping off, the doors will open at 7:45, which is really what it was last year. What will happen, instead of the children going to the cafeteria and kind of being in a holding pattern until 8:10, they will go immediately to their classrooms, and they will go to their seats. Before they walk through the door, their temperature will be taken with one of those no-touch forehead thermometers. Students will remain in their classrooms. They will not be traveling around. Teachers will be coming to them. So music will come to them, art will come to them. In the junior high level where they switch classes, the teachers will actually do the switching. The idea behind that is I don't have to worry. Susie is the only one that's going to sit in Susie's desk. The only germs she will encounter will be the germs that she brings in. If we switch classes, we have to be constantly sanitizing the desks and the chairs. This makes sure that we are keeping the spread of any possible germs to the minimum. The only exception to that, and this is because we have the space to do it, will be phys ed class. They will actually go to the gym, and they will be spaced out probably 12 feet apart, and they will be allowed to have a normal, typical phys ed class. Unfortunately, visitors will be extremely limited. If students have forgotten anything, I know, forgotten lunches, books, whatever, we have set up a table, a long white table that sits underneath the office window. The minute you come through that first set of doors, it's in that vestibule. We're going to ask that if there's any forgotten items, you deposit those items on that table, and we will wipe it down and we will take it to the classroom after you've left. Teachers will be proctoring lunch. We will not have lunch monitors anymore. So kudos to my staff who is stepping up to the plate. It's sad because visitors, mystery readers, all of that was a very special part of our school. We're just going to have to figure out ways that those kinds of things can happen virtually. Mystery readers can be online. They can be, zoomed in if we have to. There'll be no eating in the cafeteria. We're asking everybody, at least for the first quarter, to pack a lunch. It can be, at first I thought it should be in a disposable bag. It can be in a regular lunch bag in a reusable container. That's not a problem. It's just we will not be using the cafeteria, and we will not be offering hot lunch. The wash-up portion of this is that we will have sanitizing stations in all of the high-traffic areas. Posters and signage will be put all over the building to remind people about hand washing and wearing a face mask. Doors to the classrooms and to the restrooms will be propped open so kids don't have to use handles and doorknobs to get in and out of places. The fewer touches they have, the less of a chance of spreading this virus. We will wash hands whenever they get dirty, before and after eating, after using the restroom, and additionally at scheduled times throughout the school day. Teachers will take an entire class and do a hand washing on a regular basis. The cleanup, and I thank Kathy for all the work that she did on this, at least once an hour, we will be sanitizing high touch point areas like doorknobs and handles. We will be sanitizing restrooms. Every evening, every single classroom will be sanitized using an electrostatic sprayer that will touch every top, side, and back of every surface in that classroom. It's one of these misting things that hits every surface that's in that room. Sharing of supplies among students will be minimized. Every child will be given cubbies or containers that will house their markers, their pencils, their crayons, their scissors, their glue, and if they need to borrow something, they'll borrow it from the teacher, and in essence, the teacher will be giving it to them. It will not be returned. Drinking fountains have been shut off. They're not going to be in use. So we're asking a full water bottle at the beginning of every day, if every child could come with that. And then if we have to, we can use the refilling stations that were so kindly, generously donated by our parent club last year. We have 2 of them that we can use. That's it for the protocols. Let me talk a little bit about this thing called synchronous learning that we have offered as an option. So when you got your survey, I don't know, a month ago, it asked whether you were comfortable sending your child every day, 5 days in person, or whether you opted for the synchronous learning. And 16% of our children, 23 out of 150 students, have opted for synchronous. And I will tell you that there is at least 1 child in every grade that will be doing synchronous learning. There's not a class that will not have one of their classmates viewing lessons from at home. So what this means is, last quarter, we did distance learning, and I think we did a very good job of it. But that being said, we learned a lot about how we could do it better. We had 1 week last year to prepare to go online, and that really, it wasn't enough time, to be perfectly honest. So even before the school year ended, we started planning and preparing for what we would have to do should this continue. And guess what? It did continue. So what we did is we bought the latest version of iPads, which have an extremely high quality camera in them. We bought a tripod and a microphone for every teacher. We are going to use the Google platform, which was built for education. This is what it was meant to do, and it has many capabilities and capacities. So what will happen is, starting from the first day of school, teachers will have that on at scheduled times during the day. Probably within the next day or 2, teachers will post their daily schedule. So ahead of time, parents will know, and I'm making up a schedule, but 8:15 we sign on for announcements, and at 8:30 religion class begins, and religion class will be from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Your child, if they're doing virtual learning, the expectation is that your child will be dressed in their school uniform, seated at a desk or a table with their laptop turned on so that the view is showing, none of this blacked out screen with just your name, and that they sign in and they stay signed in through the entire class. They're not to move. I sat in on a few classes last quarter, and what I witnessed was kids laying in bed with their, in their pajamas with their computer up over their head, or 5 minutes into the lesson, they'd be running to go find the family dog or cat and bring it to play. This is school. And this quarter, if when people signed up for this, we are treating it as school. Attendance will be taken. Grading will be exactly as if the child was in school. If an assignment is given and it's due the following day, it's due the following day. There is no extra time. There's no leeway. The child will have to turn it in electronically by that class time on the following day. Or it will be marked late, and whatever penalty is attached to being late will be attached. We learned that there needed to be more rigor in the virtual world, and we're trying to do that. So the teacher will have the microphone on, the camera on, and it will be a live stream. But it'll be more than a live stream, because the children who are at home can actually interact with the class. They will be a part of the class. They can raise their hand, they can be called upon. If the teacher puts kids into groups, she will be able to put the children who are virtual into a group, so they're not left out of any activity. So it's virtual learning at, I believe, a much higher level. We're asking those people who chose this, the families who chose this, to stick with this for a quarter. At the end of the first quarter, sometime around Halloween, maybe even a little bit before, we're going to send out another survey, and it will ask you the exact same question. If the virtual learning is working for you and you're happy with it and your child is happy with it and you still want to do it, fine. If you want to venture into the in-person, that's fine, and vice versa. If for whatever reason you realize you're not 100% comfortable with the in-person, something changes in what's going on in the world, you can obviously switch back and go to the virtual world. We have set up our classes so that we can accommodate every student who signed on to us in person. I did have the opportunity to take more children on. We were flooded with phone calls from other schools. But sadly, because you know that growing enrollment has been one of my passions and one of my dreams, I had to hold the numbers where they were so that we could do the 6 feet or the 4 feet distancing and keep the children who had already signed up with us safe. So what can you do at home? What can you do to assist your children in doing this transition back? It's been 6 months since they've been in school. That's an awfully long time. When you think the typical summer break is shy of 3 months, this is twice as long. And there's always, as teachers we know, there's always, we call it the summer loss. You know, there's that dip in learning that takes place because they're not as challenged during the summer months. Now we're dealing with 6 months of this. So there will be a transition back into the building. As excited as they are to come, it's going to be a challenge. So first and foremost, the most important thing I think you can do is talk to your children. Find out, talk with them about how they feel about going back or how they feel about staying home and being a virtual student. Even if they say, I'm fine, I'm excited, keep asking them, you know, are there any concerns? Is there anything you're worried about? Is there anything you're nervous about? Talk with them about what will be different in the building. What can they expect? I don't want them to walk in and be surprised at some of the things that they're going to see. Be honest with them about some of the changes that they will see. But as important as that is, talk with them and share with them what will be the same. The classrooms are still going to look like classrooms. The teachers are knocking themselves out, decorating them, and making them feel warm and welcoming. They will still have many of the same experiences that they've always had. Yes, they'll be a little farther apart. Yes, they'll be wearing masks. Yes, they won't be going to the cafeteria for lunch. But I wouldn't dwell on that. I'd talk about it, but I'd accentuate and emphasize the things that will remain the same and the things that make school a school. Teach your children how to wear masks properly. I've seen, you know, under the nose, I've seen them hanging off of one ear, and teach them how to take them off properly. That keeps germs contained. You're supposed to take the ear hooks and take your mask off using the ear hooks. But more important than that, practice wearing a mask. Let them wear it around the house for a half an hour or 45 minutes. Let them get used to having that on their face. I'd hate to think that when they got to school, that would be the first time that they would encounter having to wear masks for any extended period of time. I know now we're all supposed to wear masks out in public, so they're getting used to that. But that's a little different than sitting at your desk and doing your work and having your mask on. So practice, make it fun. You know, it's hard not to let your opinion trickle down to your kids, but try to make it a positive thing, that we're doing this to keep everybody safe, and get them a cute mask. I saw one of our teachers had found these adorable tie-dye masks. There are cute ones out there that might entice them to wear them a little bit longer. Encourage hand washing at home. Set up some of your own family rituals, like every time you leave the house or come into the house, wash your hands. Obviously, before and after you eat, before and after you go to the bathroom. Again, try to make it fun. I have a little grandniece, and every time now that she washes her hands, she sings happy birthday to somebody different in the family. Even if it's not their birthday, she sings them happy birthday. So it's kind of cute because she has to think of somebody that she wants to wish a happy birthday to that day. The next one is a good one for me. Get back on a regular sleep cycle. I haven't heard the alarm clock ring at 5 o'clock since March. So for me, it's going to be a transition to get up early. I'm used to staying up late. If I didn't get up till 7 or 7:30, quarter to 8, it was not a big deal. Kids need to be back on a normal sleep cycle. They need to start going to bed earlier. And if you haven't already started to do that, we have a week to kind of transition them in. And my suggestion, my recommendation is no electronic devices near bedtime. It's proven that it stimulates the brain, and that's not the best activity for kids to be doing right before they want to go to bed. The next one, and I didn't think about this till I did some reading. For some children, especially the little ones, there might be some separation anxiety. Think about it. Most of them have not been out of your house, away from you, since March 20th of this past school year. So for the first time, they're going back out into the world and being away from you for the day. For the little ones, that might be a little upsetting. So talk about that. Try to instill in your kids some tools to help them deal with that separation, and talk about that it's okay to miss mom and dad, that you're going to be there for them at the end of the day. And we'll try to, if it gets too bad and we see some carryover in school, we'll let you know. But just something to put on your radar. The last thing, and I think this is a no-brainer, but one of the most important things you can do at home is, if your kids aren't feeling well, especially if they're running a temperature, keep them home. I know it sounds crazy that if they have a runny nose or sniffles, keep them home. But if they're not feeling well, if they're just exhibiting one of those symptoms, keep them home for at least 24 hours and just see where those symptoms go. If they get better and they feel better the next day, send them. If they continue to feel crummy, it might be after the second or third day, it's probably time to call the doctor. The next topic is some of the concerns that I've heard, some of the email questions that I've received. And one that has come through several times is the disappointment that some parents are feeling that we will not, at least initially, be allowed to attend our weekly Mass in person. Attending school masses is near and dear to my heart. We have these wonderful faith families, and if you've ever come to one of our school masses, you know it's very special. They are just amazingly special celebrations. But Mass is not the only thing that makes us Catholic. We are Catholic in everything we do all day. We're Catholic, first of all, we have religion class every day, every grade, every day. The way that we discipline children is all based on the Beatitudes and on being Christ-like. The way we teach, the curriculum that we build, the way we present that curriculum is all housed in our Catholic culture. The climate in the building, the kindness, the care, the way we talk to one another, it's all modeling our Catholic faith and kindness and virtue and just being a Christ-like person. So while I understand the disappointment in not going to Mass, it doesn't mean that we've all of a sudden become not Catholic. I think in some ways it will strengthen us and make all those other things that we do more important, and we'll put more emphasis on those things. We will attend Mass. We're just going to do it virtually. It will be streamed into the classroom. So at 8:30 every Friday morning, we're still going to go to Mass. Unfortunately, we just won't leave our classrooms to do that. Absences and synchronous learning. So if a child is home and they have a headache or they just don't feel well and they stayed home for one day, does that mean they have to jump on the virtual learning and turn that on? Absolutely not. If they're sick and they need to rest and they need to get sleep and they need to take their medicine. It's only after a child would be sick for maybe 2 days or more that we'd call you and ask you if you wanted to do the virtual option. All of the lessons that we do virtually, I should have mentioned this, the lessons that we do and do virtually will also be recorded. And there'll be a place on our website where you can go and watch any lesson that has been taught. We won't keep them up maybe for a week or two. They won't stay up forever. So again, if your child is sick and they end up being home for a day or 2 or 3, and you decide, you know what, they're getting too far behind, they're well enough where they can sit up in bed and watch, they can go back and watch the recorded lessons, and when they feel well enough, if they want to join their classmates online, they can. The synchronous learning is really on a daily basis meant for the students who signed up for it. It's a benefit and a bonus for the kids who are sick, who are ill. Another question along those same lines, so my child has, a sore throat or, a headache or something. Do I have to keep them home for at least 3 days? No. The 3-day rule is if they're running a temperature, they have to be fever-free for 3 days. If they have a headache or a sore throat or the sniffles and they feel better the next day, send them. Kids are still going to get colds. They're still going to get the sniffles. They still have allergies. And I have a cough right now. So that doesn't mean that every time a child develops one of those symptoms, they necessarily have to stay home for 3 days. The 3-day rule is mainly based on fever, and if they are running a temperature, they must be fever-free for at least 72 hours without medication in order to be allowed to come back to school. Question also arose, are we going to do before care and after care? Absolutely. Absolutely. Our before care will still start at 7 in the morning, and after care will run from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. We're going to turn, since we're not using it as a cafeteria, we're going to turn Kelly Hall into the aftercare spot. And each aftercare child will have their own desk and chair where they will be stationed. And we're going to ask, if your child is an aftercare child, pack them some toys, pack them some activities to do, because they're not going to be able to share the puzzles and the games and things that they did in the past. So pack them up something that they would like to do to keep them occupied. We'll still have snacks. When the weather's nice, they'll still go outside and play. And they'll still do homework. That'll still be part of aftercare. But that downtime where they're allowed to play, we just can't share toys. So whatever they would want. And we will allow, against my usual rules, we will allow electronic devices. If they want to bring something to play with, they can. Lunch. The question came up, so there's no cafeteria for the first quarter, and that ship has already sailed. That decision has been made. Mrs. Lygraf, who's our lunch mom, has stayed on with us. She will be helping us during lunch periods. She's going to help proctor. And the other reason we wanted to keep her on is in case things change and we're allowed to then start doing a hot lunch program, she will be here ready to go. I can't tell you when that will be. I can't say that will be next quarter. This is like when the governor originally back in March said we're doing this in stages. We're doing this in stages. And stage 1 is opening the doors of the school and making sure that it's safe. Once we've done that in a way that we know is safe and effective, then we'll start adding these other things to it slowly. Maybe we'll start coming to Mass as a school community. Maybe we'll offer hot lunch, but not until each step of the way we've proven that we can manage what we're already doing safely. I think once you start adding too many things into the mix, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Another question became, so there are children that have speech therapists, they're intervention therapists. You know, they used to go and see these people in their own spaces and have like a one-on-one tutoring. That will still stay. What we've done is we're getting plexiglass partitions for those teachers so that they can still see their students and have that one-on-one interaction and intervention with them, but in a safe manner. And as it stands now, in that case, the students will go to that intervention specialist room. Between each student, obviously, there will be sanitizing and washing down of the tables and the chairs and any equipment that might be shared. If the children who are attending virtually also need those services, we will connect with those families, and those families will receive those services virtually and remotely. We'll do one-on-one Google Meets so that the intervention specialist and that child meet one-on-one. I know I probably haven't answered all your questions. I will park myself back in the baptistry after this is over, and if you have anything else that you want to ask or anything you want clarified or any concern that you still have, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that. My parting words, communication is more key. It's key this year more than ever. I know standing here before this year even begins, there will be bumps in the road. It's inevitable, given how this pandemic is playing itself out. We've given a great deal of thought to our reopening and virtual learning plans, but we haven't lived it yet. There may be tweaks necessary, and we'll make them. But we are counting on you to let us know what is working, and more importantly, what is not working. I can't promise you, would not promise you that this year will not have challenges. What I can promise you is that if we continue to work together as a team, as we have since March, we will have a successful school year. In spite of all the difficulties and challenges we've endured, it's the positive things that we have to hold on to. So tonight, let's make it our collective goal to make this the most successful and positive school years ever. We owe that to our children. Thank you for coming. God bless all of you, and I can't wait to see your children. Good night. Bum, 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 bum.